his writing and painting was based on repeated angelic visitations. Brahms said that his music came from something beyond himself. We don't know if they're in fact receiving communication from some divine or powerful source beyond their own skin, or if they may be in touch with their own unconscious or deeper wisdom that they're not customarily hearing from.
In the 1900s, Serbian-born inventor Nikola Tesla pioneered modern electrical engineering and was the driving force behind today's wireless technology. In his writings, Tesla describes his method of approaching a complex engineering problem.
Nikola Tesla was someone who wrote extensively about using very, very powerful visualizations. In fact, he said that he was able to visualize a motor and then actually run research and development, R&D, on the motor in his mind so that he could tell where there might be, for example, mistakes or flaws. And he would be able to do almost all of that in his mind in these altered states of consciousness.
Nikola Tesla is a person who believes in the existence of extraterrestrial beings. He is a person who really believes that he can communicate with other galaxies.
Perhaps the greatest piece of evidence that Tesla believed he was in communication with otherworldly beings can be found in a letter he sent to the American Red Cross in December of 1900. In the letter he writes, "We have a message from another world, unknown and remote." It reads, 1, 2, 3.
Tesla was a genius with certain eccentricities. Everything he did was in threes. And it is interesting, I think, because this is a level of symbolism when we realize that so many of our ancestors, whenever they are talking about communication with the divine and how the divine downloaded this information to them, we'll see this rich layer of symbolism there as well.
Why was Tesla so obsessed with the number 3? Could this be a clue that Tesla was using his own internal form of wireless communication to connect with cosmic advisors, as ancient astronaut theorists believe? And could this also explain the remarkable genius of India's Srinivasa Ramanujan? Although Ramanujan was an unexceptional student, he is widely considered the greatest mathematician in history. And according to his journals, Ramanujan believed he was being guided subconsciously by an otherworldly being, the Hindu god Namagiri.
Namagiri was the family deity of Ramanuja, and basically everything the family did was linked with this deity.
Much of his creative work was actually done by going to bed with an intention to be visited by a Hindu deity that he worshipped. And when he would fall asleep, he would become lucid in the dream time. And he would receive enormous amounts of information. In one particular dream, he talks about seeing a very large red wall and a hand that came out and wrote equation after equation after equation after equation. He memorized the equations, and when he woke up, he actually then went to work verifying the proofs. The vast majority of all of his equations were new and important and utterly groundbreaking.
All of the science that we need to eventually be able to create portals, Stargate travel, teleportation, it all needs a mathematical foundation. And the closest that we have right now is the Ramanujan equations that we've been able to decipher so far.
It is an irrefutable fact that mathematics is the language of the universe. So if Ramanujan's formulae do in fact check out, who knows what the potential is of those conclusions? It could be life-altering. It could be revolutionary.
can it only be a coincidence that many of the greatest minds in human history claim to have received information from an otherworldly source? Or could it be possible that Socrates, Nikola Tesla, Srinivasa Ramanujan, as well as other geniuses in human history, were using altered states of consciousness to access an alien realm? A realm that some ancient astronaut theorists believe contains the entire knowledge of the universe. If so, where might this field of knowledge exist? Perhaps answers can be found in Asia, within the pages of an ancient Hindu text. Angkor, Cambodia. Here, in the northwestern jungle, stands the largest Hindu temple in the world, Angkor Wat. Built in the 12th century, the temple's design is meant to represent Mount Meru, a mythical mountain that exists in the cosmos, that the Hindu believed was the center of the metaphysical universe. Numerous stone carvings adorn the walls of the temple, depicting scenes from the Hindu epic, the Mahabharata. Within the pages of this ancient text of Hindu mythology, there is a description of a non-physical plane of existence in the universe, called the Akashic Record.
Akasha is actually a Sanskrit word, and the Akashic Record is a term that basically the idea behind it is that all of the information in the universe is pre-existing, and an individual can actually tap into that information.
Our ancestors began to look more into this, and the Akashic Records came about. Basically, the notion is this, that somehow all the information, not just from mankind, but everywhere in the universe, is somehow accessible. Some cultures actually say that this information really is a gift of the gods, that they left this somehow behind for us to use at our own will. And we are able to download this information from this other realm, this pool of records, whatever you want to call it.
An interesting thing to correlate with the Akashic Record might be from Star Wars, the Force. Some type of cosmic energy that's omnipresent, and we have the ability to tap into this. This is something very new in our own sciences, trying to discover and understand this field of knowledge.
Is it possible that Albert Einstein's method of meditation, which he called his thought experiments, was actually connecting him to the Akashic Record? Could the Akashic Record be the source of inspiration behind the world's geniuses? If so, how could such a metaphysical plane of knowledge exist? Perhaps the answer can be found in one of Albert Einstein's many theories. In 1935, Albert Einstein published a paper describing quantum entanglement. It theorized that if a particle is split into two parts, both remain linked to one another, even when separated over vast distances.
The experiments showed that two particles separated in space and time demonstrated a connectivity. If you change the spin of one particle, the other particle would actually change its spin as well.
In other words, if something happens to one, the other responds in the same or an equal and opposite manner. And that this occurs instantaneously. So it's a form of instantaneous communication. It's what Einstein referred to as spooky communication at a distance.
What we have to remind ourselves is that we are made of stardust. Our whole body consists of material that has been here since before the beginning of time. And these particles that we consist of, each and every particle contain the knowledge of the universe.
It's not only real, but it can explain to us so much weirdness in this world which we still don't understand and call